There is a blink-and-you-miss-it moment when Cooper stares into the empty cryopod. His reflection overlaps with the frost cracking along the glass. For a second, it looks like his face is splintering. The ice fractures before he does. That shot is not accidental. It tells us something the dialogue never says. This is not just a reunion denied. It is the moment he understands that hope has been used against him. The frost breaking across the glass mirrors something internal. Cooper has survived war, betrayal, radiation, and time itself. But what finally destabilizes him is not violence, it is absence. The emptiness inside the pod is louder than any explosion. The mechanical hiss when it opens lingers too long, hollow and unresolved. There is no music swelling to guide emotion, just space, just realization. The finale is strangely quiet for a show built on chaos. Nuclear wastelands, death claws, factions circling power, yet the most intense scenes are personal. The vault chamber feels less like a battlefield and more like a courtroom. Cooper stands rigid at first, shoulders squared like a soldier waiting for orders. That posture matters. It shows who he used to be, a man who believed in systems, a man who trusted institutions. But when the pods open and reveal nothing, his shoulders drop. Not dramatically, not theatrically. They fall in a way that feels almost childlike, like someone who just realized a promise was never real. That shift is subtle, but it is devastating. Lucy, on the other hand, stands in contrast. She is no longer naive. The wasteland has reshaped her, but she is not hardened completely. When she is handed the choice to kill, there is hesitation in her eyes. Not fear, not weakness, conflict. The world around her demands efficiency. Survival often demands brutality, yet she pauses. That pause is dangerous in this universe. Maximus removing the armor does not feel heroic. It feels desperate. The armor has always symbolized borrowed power. When he sheds it, it is not a victory pose. It feels like someone stripping away protection to prove he deserves forgiveness, as if redemption requires exposure. But exposure in the wasteland rarely leads to safety. The finale quietly suggests that the Enclave's long game is not simple territorial control. It feels more deliberate than that. The mind control technology, the selective preservation.
He once believed in institutions. He once represented loyalty. Now he believes in nothing stable. A man without institutional faith cannot be programmed easily. He is unpredictable. And unpredictability threatens any system built on manufactured loyalty. Lucy may be even more dangerous in a different way. Her moral compass has not been erased. It has been tested. If she resists ideological programming, she becomes living proof that the Enclave's design is flawed. A system built to shape compliant survivors cannot tolerate someone who questions it from within. This finale feels philosophical in a way that goes beyond post-apocalyptic spectacle. The parallels are clear. Organizations manipulating humanity under the claim of salvation. Structures insisting they know what is best for the species. It echoes stories where control is framed as protection, where autonomy is treated as a flaw. The strip itself reinforces that illusion. It shines, it glows, it promises stability in a broken world. But the lighting in the final wide shot flickers subtly, almost imperceptibly. The city looks less like salvation and more like a neon mirage, something that could power down at any second. That flicker matters, because the core theme of the finale is not destruction. It is instability. Every character is handed what appears to be a choice. Lucy chooses not to kill. Hank chooses control over death. Cooper chooses hope again, even after everything. But each decision is shaped by systems far larger than them. Free will feels conditional. Every option is pre-designed. The wasteland does not just mutate bodies, it mutates ethics. Lucy refusing to pull the trigger feels noble, but the show quietly asks whether nobility can survive repeated compromise. Hank's obsession with control looks monstrous, yet from his perspective, chaos is worse than tyranny. Cooper chasing hope again feels tragic, but is it love he seeks, or absolution? The cryopod scene crystallizes this idea. Hope was preserved in glass, frozen, protected, and then revealed as empty. Hope becomes a tool, a motivator, a leash. If you can convince someone their future is waiting just beyond obedience, they will endure almost anything. The Enclave understands that.
They do not need to dominate openly. They only need to shape expectation. That is why the sound design avoids triumph. The mechanical hiss echoes. The emptiness rings. Absence becomes the loudest element in the room. It forces the audience to sit in discomfort rather than escape through spectacle. Season 2 does not end with resolution. It ends with exposure. Masks fall. Illusions crack. The wasteland expands. Power structures shift, but none collapse completely. Chaos is coming to the strip, yes, but brute force will not determine the next era. Technology changing hands will. If mind control or preservation tech spreads beyond the Enclave, the moral battlefield transforms. Factions will not just fight for territory. They will fight for the ability to define humanity itself. Lucy and Maximus are positioned on a collision course. He leans toward martyrdom, toward sacrifice as proof of worth. She leans toward reform, toward rebuilding without surrendering her ethics entirely. Their ideological divide may become more dangerous than any external enemy. And Cooper stands in the middle of it all, fractured by frost, chasing something that may not exist anymore. The cruelest possibility is not death. It is ideological betrayal. Imagine him finding his family only to discover they have aligned with a faction he despises, not because they are evil, but because they believe it offers safety. That would be the ultimate twist. Not loss through violence, but loss through belief.
A laboratory. The neon lights, the casinos, the illusion of freedom, all of it creates the appearance of choice. People gamble, they drink, they negotiate, they fight. It looks like autonomy. But beneath that shine, systems guide outcomes. Debt controls behavior, alliances control safety, technology controls information. The Strip is not freedom, it is structured temptation. And that makes it the perfect stage for a power shift driven by technology rather than brute force. Season 3 likely opens with visible chaos, factions maneuvering, rumors spreading, violence erupting in pockets. But the true transformation will not be loud. It will happen quietly when control over advanced tech changes hands. If mind control capabilities, preservation systems, or communication networks fall into the wrong possession, the definition of power shifts permanently. Guns and soldiers become secondary to influence. That is where Lucy becomes central. She represents resistance not through strength, but through moral refusal. When she hesitates to kill, the show frames it not as weakness, but as friction against a system that expects compliance. If she can maintain that resistance without being crushed by it, she becomes evidence that conditioning is not absolute. But resistance has a cost. The Wasteland punishes hesitation. It rewards decisiveness, even when that decisiveness is cruel. Lucy's arc will likely test how long she can maintain her ethical core before reality forces compromise. And if she compromises too much, she risks becoming indistinguishable from the system she questions. Maximus moves in the opposite direction. His removal of the armor signals vulnerability, but also instability. Without armor, he is exposed, not just physically, but ideologically. He is searching for redemption through sacrifice. That mindset can easily slide into martyrdom, and martyrdom in a fractured political landscape can ignite conflict faster than calculated strategy. If Lucy seeks reform and Maximus seeks purification through sacrifice, their paths will diverge. What begins as shared survival could become philosophical opposition. In a world shaped by manipulation, even allies can become obstacles. Then there is Cooper. His fracture in the cryopod scene is not explosive, it is internal. The frost cracks across the glass before his expression changes. That order matters. The environment breaks first, then the man. Hope has been weaponized against him, yes, but what makes that realization devastating is that he still chooses hope again, despite betrayal, despite absence, despite evidence. That is either resilience or self-deception. The question the finale quietly asks is whether Cooper is chasing love or absolution. Is he searching for family because